This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Now, prepare yourselves for a Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels special edition.
This is so wizard.
You feeling me, Hunter's Wizard? Oh, I was just stepping to you, girl, with my intellectual wizard politics.
I am an enchanter.
Wizards only. Fools. Wizards rule.
There are some who call me Tim.
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
Nope. Wizards only. Wizards only, fools.
Hello, Scoundrels. Welcome to episode 77.3, That's So Wizard, a special edition of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. And on this episode, we will feature a recap of all the major Star Wars fashion and lifestyle products we found at Star Wars Celebration Chicago this past April. And I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Dennis Keithly. Hey, Dennis, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Getting over a little bit of the con crud. The one souvenir I didn't want to bring back from Chicago. But
right?
yeah, but other than that, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing all right too. I made sure to take my emergency and my zinc tablets, so I'm hoping that I've kind of staved off most of the crud. But unfortunately, Darth Taxus, our other co-host and friend, could not join us tonight. He's knee deep in doing a lot of stuff for the Sith, I think, this evening.
Yeah, that disturbance she felt would be tax season, and being the Dark Lord of Tax, that he got caught up right in that. So
he sure did. So, Dennis, you want to explain to our Scoundrels what a special edition is, if this is our first special edition with us?
Sure. This special editions are between the episodes in which we forego the news to focus specifically on content. And Jay, for our That's So Wizards, you usually round up current developments in the world of Star Wars fashion and lifestyle products, which is what we are doing tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, we've been so super focused on Celebration Chicago for months and months and months now. And we're still kind of recovering literally and figuratively from that, as well as our pocketbooks, maybe our pocketbooks. But we're just going to recap some of the interesting finds and some of the things that we were able to snag while we were there. And so we'll just jump right in. So first of all, the big news and line I think that came out was her universe, Sisters of the Force. So Ashley Eckstein once again has dropped a new line of clothing on us and products for both men and women, which is really cool. And I was actually able to catch the fashion show live right there on the Star Wars stage. And I believe that that's where we caught both of our t-shirts as well out of the t-shirt cannon, my son Colby Wan and I. He took one to the face for mom. So what a kid, man. I'm telling you what. So Ashley's got several new pieces out there. And I know that we had basically kind of teased about these ourselves on a couple of the past That's So Wizard episodes. And so some of the big things that came out of this, I think the biggest one was the Tano pullover that I saw more so than anywhere else throughout the convention. And it was so popular that it actually sold out. And so I was not able to snag one of those. I know my son wanted one of those, especially after he saw it on the guys. He's like, Mom, I think I really want that Tano pullover. So it was one of the last things on that Saturday that we did, and we went straight over to the Her Universe booth, and they were sold out of that one, and they were sold out of the Padme pullover, and they were also sold out as of now on the Constellation pullover as well, which I was told at the booth that they will be restocking in about a month. And they also ran out of the Rose Tico jacket while we were there too. They had some sizes, but not quite so many. But they are available online. Most of them are. But the three that I mentioned, the Tano, the Constellation, and the Padme ombre pullovers, will be back in stock in about a month. So I was able to snag a few of these, and I got the Hera pullover. And at first, this was one that was like, oh, that's really cool. You know, it's Hera. That's awesome. And it's got kind of that tribute to her Leku on the top, and across the middle it says, "We have hope." And the O in Hope is the Firebird symbol. And what really got me to buy this one was the fact that Ashley had mentioned that she called Vanessa or contacted Vanessa and said, I need a quote for this. What do you think we should use? And that was the quote that Vanessa gave her. So I was like, oh, my little fangirl heart.
Yeah. That one, I was with some people and we stopped by the that booth or area of the floor later in the week after Saturday, and it was sold out too. I remember at that time, and as you're saying, a lot of things, and but that one was eye-catching. I saw that one a lot on the floor over the weekend.
Definitely. And I'll tell you what, we went out there first thing, I believe it was Saturday morning, or maybe it was Sunday morning, and the line, there were so many line breaks that it was wrapped around the booth, onto the show floor, across the show floor. So, I mean, they were just selling stuff, hand over fist there, which is great. But I do love the Hera pullover. And then I also snagged the lake dress, which I liked, and I thought it was beautiful. It's made out of this chiffon material, and it has an elastic top to the bust part of it, and it comes up around the neck with the Naboo symbol in metal, kind of like a pin. And it's got a detachable bustle on the back. And at first I didn't realize that the bustle was detachable, and it was so beautiful and very flowy and kind of cut lower in the back. And I told Colby one, I said, wow, I really like that, but I have no idea where I would wear it. And I said, maybe to your graduation next year. And that's about it. He goes, Mom, I really like that dress. And so we went over to the booth, and I was telling the girl the same thing that was there working the booth. And she said, the bustle's detachable. And I was like, well, there's a game changer. So I tried it on and I was in love with it. And of course, I just had to get it. And I told my husband about it that evening because I call him every night after celebration was over. And he goes, well, you can also wear it. We have a wedding this summer for my good friend Pam Brokowski. Her daughter's getting married in Providence. He's like, you can wear it to that wedding. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. I could. So, and it is all polyester and it's machine washable, which is definitely one thing that I checked while I was trying it on in the dressing room because I wanted to make sure that the care on that was also pretty easy. And it is. So that's great. So I have it hanging up right now in the closet, just waiting for me to wear it. So. Yeah,
the nice thing about that is it really is a practical version of that dress that showed up in Attack of the Clones. And that it looks like something you could wear out on a not sweltering hot summer day. And, that might be comfortable. And nice find.
And also, Catherine Tabor had worn it at the Clone Wars panel into the Sisters of the Force. And she actually paired it with a jean jacket, which was super cute. So I thought, oh, okay, well, I could do that very easily and wear that even on a summer night or, a fall night or anything like that. So for something that at first you look at and you think, gosh, this is going to be really, really dressy, there's actually a lot of really great ways to wear it, which is awesome. And Ashley also mentioned that, they weren't sure. She'd been wanting to do something with the lake dress for a very long time, and it was her favorite, of course, from Attack of the Clones. And she said that they designed the pullover and then they designed the dress. And she thought, well, gosh, we can't really make both, but well, why can't we make both? So they made both, which was great. So yeah, and the next one is the Rose Tico jacket. This one was super popular with, again, both guys and girls. And it has the necklace that she and her sister wear on the inside. And it has a detachable inner lining, so you can wear it with or without the hood. And this baby is super, super soft because I tried it on. I didn't end up getting one, but I did try it on, and it's so soft. So it also has something at the waist where you can cinch it up to make it just a little bit tighter too. So if you wanted to, and I like my jackets just a little bit bigger anyways, just because I like to be able to layer things underneath them, especially in the cooler weather. So I would buy a size up on this. I actually tried on a large, and that's what I would definitely get for myself. Now the pullovers run a little bit big, so I got a small in the Hera pullover. But I'm really bummed that I missed out on that lake dress ombre sweatshirt from Padme. But
yeah,
maybe when it goes back online.
So I've been trying to translate the Arabesh on the Rose Tico jacket, and I believe it says, I'm not sure what this means, GLD landing officer on the pocket.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'll have to look that up and see what that actually means. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, when you find that out, do some retcon for us.
Sure.
And then another one that caught my eye too is the Sisters of the Force constellation pullover. And so Ashley had shared that her concept designer and her art designer, she said, I want to try to bring as many women into the line as possible. And she said she gave her a list of 27 women of Star Wars. And she said, now I know that you probably can't get all of these on one design. And her designer said, you watch me. So that's how she came up with the constellation idea. And again, this one is available in both men and women, and there's a pullover as well as a t-shirt as well available in this one. And this one's a navy blue with the constellations of all the different Star Wars women on it, which I thought was really, really interesting. But there's also several other pieces online as well. There's a Ahsoka Tano track jacket. It's like a pullover windbreaker type jacket. Mm-hmm. And there's just, you got to check out the collection because there's a lot of really, really great stuff. There's a Leia cape. And then there's a Holdo dress with pockets. Hallelujah. Because, you gotta have pockets and stuff. It's hard to put things. But yeah, overall, it's a really, really great line. So did Beth pick up anything? I'm surprised if she didn't.
No. Well, honestly, we just didn't have time to get over there to that. Beth and the boys were only there for the full day Saturday and then Sunday morning, and so we got around to as many things as we could. We just didn't have a lot of time to spend over there on that area of the floor. Mm-hmm. But we did do some shopping, which we'll get to in a bit.
You did indeed, and shout out to Beth. I just loved meeting her. I really feel like that we could hang together. She and I.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'd probably get ourselves into a lot of trouble.
Probably so.
Well, speaking of your shopping, the next thing on my list is actually Pozu. So they revealed a couple of Celebration exclusives as well. And of course, one of them was available through the Star Wars Celebration store, but sold out very quickly. And that was the black X-Wing Squadron low tops that we had mentioned on a previous That's the Wizard that had the yellow trim just above the sole. And I believe that Beth actually did say that they were going to be releasing a version without the yellow trim. Isn't that what she heard there?
Yeah, so we were over there at the Pozu booth, and they had a pair on display there because I think you had to actually pick up the shoes itself from the Celebration store, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And they said that they were out, but then at some point in the near future, there should be a release online without the yellow stripe on them. Mm-hmm. So if you like the look, you will be able to get it at some point.
Very cool. And the big news, too, was the BB-8 low tops that are all orange, with the cream-colored BB-8 all over them. And I saw quite a few people that had snagged those up. I did not, but you bought something over at the Pozu booth. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, but Beth got those orange.
Did she get those?
Yeah, she did.
That's right. She did say that she did.
Yeah, so that's what drew us to the Pozu booth. And while she was trying those on, I kept looking at the Han Solo Pozu shoes. And so she was trying those on, and I was looking at the Han Solo shoes, and she tried them on, and she was really oohing and ahhing about how comfortable they were. And so they kind of noticed that I was looking at those shoes. And so everyone's like, "Did you want to try something, sir?" And I was like, "All right. Well, do you have these in the tent?" They had one pair. So I tried them on, and they were comfortable. So I went ahead and got my first pair of Pozus. I like them a lot. They are comfortable if you're not going to do a lot of long distance walking. They're great for just kind of an average day. I guess I should say, if you're just gonna head down to work or whatever, you're just hanging out. But I do a lot of walking, and so I put them on and wore them around the rest of the convention. At the end of the day, the heels still need to be broken a little bit, and then I wore them to the airport on my way home from Chicago, and after walking for a while, my heel was a little sore across the back. But other than that, they really are comfortable. So if you're not doing what I was doing, which was going to be on the go quite a bit, they're perfect for that. But if it is going to be a situation where we're doing a lot of long distance walking, find a good pair of walking shoes instead. But I do like them quite a bit. I wore them down to the office today, and like I said, I'm suffering from the con crud, so I wasn't planning on being on my feet too much, and they were comfy for that purpose.
Well, good. Well, you need to try if you can, because they have that removable foot mattress in them, to see if you could put your own maybe gel insoles or something in them too, because there is that option as well. But congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's not so much the support under the feet as much as it was just the firmness of the back of the shoe across the heel. But other than that, I really like them.
Good. And I did notice that Sam Witwer was wearing the red X-Wing Pozu shoes on the Star Wars show when they were.
Oh, I missed that.
He and Matt Lancer run, and I jabbed Colby and I said, "Hey, do you see he's wearing those Pozu shoes?" So he was able to get a pair of those as well. And I'm sure that Pozu will probably be releasing a new version of a Rey boot, since Rey's costume has been, retooled just a little bit for the Rise of Skywalker. Can't believe we're saying that now, the Rise of Skywalker. It feels so good.
You know what was cool though? When we got to the booth, there was a Rey cosplayer there buying the current Rey boot.
Okay.
And so she had tried them on, and then there was I was confused what she was doing at first, but there was a little platform in the middle of that booth, and she stood up on the that platform with those boots on and grabbed her staff and was like posing. And so someone was taking pictures, and so she liked it and then purchased them. And
wow.
But that was kind of fun to watch.
That is really cool. I'm sure that'll be showing up either on their website or their Instagram or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed that Rey's costume is just different enough that, all the cosplayers are going to be going crazy to try to replicate everything on there. But yeah, so you can check those out at pozu.com. And of course, all of these our links will be in our show notes too, Scoundrels. So if there's anything that you like, you can always take a look there. Now, some of the other things that were available at Celebration through the Celebration store may or may not be available online. Some of them you said were available through Amazon. Is that correct?
Well, let's jump ahead a little bit so I can answer that question.
Sure.
One of the things that came out was from the Mandalorian panel. We got the new Mandalorian logo. And so that t-shirt was available. Now, I showed up at the store late on Sunday and they were sold out there. However, the next morning, and I have not been able to find this link through the Celebration app again, but it took you to an Amazon Prime store where you could get that t-shirt and other Amazon and other Celebration products. I've done a couple searches on Amazon. I haven't found them yet, but I did find the Mandalorian t-shirt there. For people who attended Celebration last year, 2017, Reed Pop sent out an email to everyone who attended that had some of the products in the store available for purchase that way. So if you went, I'd be on the lookout for that email to see if they do that again this year.
Oh, great. And I'm sure that the Amazon, that was the Shop the Galaxy QR code that was popping up all over Celebration, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that may have been it.
Yeah. So yeah, we were able to get a few things from there. So, if you didn't attend Celebration, I'm sure that there will be other ways to get a hold of these things possibly. But some of our favorites that Colby really absolutely fell in love with was the night. Well, basically they were like joggers and a night shirt, but they were tooled together as pajamas. But he loves them. So it looks just like the lanyard, just like the t-shirt. I mean, basically just like all of the art that you see for Celebration, where there's the light side and the dark side. So one leg is light side, one leg is dark side. And then it has a kind of like a jersey top, pullover top that went along with it. And these are drawstring. And they have the cinched bottom on them. And he absolutely loves them. He wore them all day Monday. And then basically all day Tuesday too when we got home. Yeah. He was kind of lounging around in those. And then one of the things that he also picked up that he wore today, actually, when we were out and about, is they had a bunch of different types of basically work shirts. And so the one that he picked up was from Watto's Junkyard. And so it has the Watto's Junkyard logo on the front, and then on the back really, really big. And it has the Mos Espa Tatooine, and then the O in Watto is a chance cube. And then it says Hichuba de Nango, and it's got Watto's face on the back, which is really super cool, and it's black, and it looks really cool on. He actually wore that one layered with a black shirt underneath it.
Yeah, it's got that little pit droid on the top of the logo. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah,
the head of the thing. Yeah, that was a popular item at Celebration. I saw quite a few people that had picked that one up, and yeah, that's a good find.
Mm-hmm. There was quite a few of those different types of shirts. The shop shirts, camp shirts, some of them that were kind of more of a Hawaiian feel, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's a really super cool shirt. And then Taxus, hello Taxus, all busy right now, but he got me the Phantom Menace 20th anniversary patch to add to my patch jacket, which I talked about. And I also bought the Leia Hope graffiti patch, and Hope is in Orabesh. So I picked that up at the Celebration store, and then you had graciously given me some patches from your bounty boxes, so I was able to put those on my jacket as well. And I got a lot of really great compliments on that jacket. So I wore that one Saturday on my Hayden day. I didn't wear that one in my picture with Hayden, but I did wear it. And then I also picked up a Convor and a Lothwolf plushie. And I also got the one to a customer, the Rise of Skywalker t-shirt, and I also got a purple Ahsoka t-shirt. And I was so glad that the Ahsoka t-shirt was in purple, because since my school colors are purple, and if you've listened to us in the past, you know, I'm a teacher and we have casual Fridays and our school colors are purple. So
was that
that one in?
Was that the badge art shirt for something?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And I ended up we'll get into some details of the store when we get to our Celebration recap episode, which is coming up. But suffice to say, it was difficult to get in the first couple days. And so when I got in on Sunday afternoon, the place was a bit picked over. And so they did have T-shirts that reflected each one of the different badges, because they had a different badge if you were a 5-day adult, 5-day kid, if you were you had a VIP badge, there was, and then a different badge for every single day of the week. And then there was exhibitor badges, et cetera, et cetera. But then they had those T-shirts that reflected all the different badges. And I got in there wanting to get the Mandalorian badge art shirt, but that was sold out, long gone. They didn't have any size whatsoever. And so I said, okay, fantastic. They were kind of using Darth Vader was as the logo image on the app. And said, when I saw people wandering around that shirt, well, I'll go get that one. No, that one was gone too. In every size except for small, which I have not been in for a very long time. And then, so I ended up settling on the Kylo Ren badge art shirt. It came down to Kylo and Rey, but since I had the 5-day adult badge, which had Rey on it, and that was going to be hanging up in my office, I'm going to see that all the time. So I decided to go ahead and go with Kylo in that case.
That's a good call. Actually, it's a really good call. Colby one actually did end up getting the Rey one. He loves Rey, so I was actually really impressed that he went ahead and got that. But yeah, that Mandalorian shirt, especially right after the panel, I feel like everybody was rushing to try to get their hands on that one. And I know Taxus did get one. He got that the first day. Yeah. So we actually got there just after they completely sold out, because do you know how they had those basically the signs at the top of the cube where all the different sizes were? They had pushed out those signs just as we were walking up there. So they actually removed the signs because they were not getting any more to come in. And I even asked the one gal that was stocking there, I said, do you think you'll get any more in? She goes, probably not at this point.
Yeah, I ordered like I said, I ordered the Mandalorian shirts for myself and the family on Monday morning through that Amazon store, and they showed up today. They smell very, very, very fresh, like they're just got inked. So I'm going to put those through the washer and dryer before I wear them again, because it's a bit strong to smell one of those freshly printed shirts that you might get from like TeePublic or someplace like that. But they look fantastic, and that logo for the Mandalorian was just so incredible that that was one of the things I went in, and then I wanted to get something that says Celebration Chicago on it when I was going through the store. And so I came out with one of the two things I did. But then, as you were saying, when I got there on Sunday afternoon, they still had the Rise of Skywalker shirts, but the small size they had was large. at that point. They'd run out of the small and the mediums, and then I came back to the store just an hour or two later with Dan Zare and the Cockpit Kenobi crew, and they were even out of that. All they had at that point was double XL and triple XL. So those were popular items, but and then you could only get one per person when you went through the time. So they, I suspect there's going to be fairly shortly more the Rise of Skywalker type shirts and merchandise out there, because it is it's such a popular thing. So I would be patient on that one. If you go to eBay, you'll find that a lot of these shirts that we've mentioned are available for a hefty markup for 2 and 3 times often. So, if you have to have it, then go for it. But I would just exercise some restraint and see what happens over the next couple weeks before you necessarily make one of those purchases.
I totally agree. And I just actually lucked out on the Rise of Skywalker shirt because we didn't even have to stand in line for it, because there was a huge line for, just to queue up to buy one inside the store. And someone must have changed their mind and decided that they didn't want the one that they stood in line for, because when we were looking at the pajama sets, there was 2 or 3 of them just sitting on that little display. And so I picked it up and I'm like, wait a second. And there was nobody around me. And I thought, did somebody just accidentally set this down and go look at something else? And there was nobody that was, hanging around there. And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to snag this up. So I did.
Yeah. Good.
So that kind of worked out real well for me. But yeah, the plushies were super cool. And, we got to stand by the huge Loth Wolf and get our pictures taken. But it was so funny because I named my convor Connie the convor, and my Loth Wolf's name is Larry. And the first thing that my husband said when I got home was, those are going on our bed, aren't they? And I said, yep, they sure are. I kind of have a plushie problem, but, I'm going back to my 10-year-old self, I guess, but it's all good.
Well, it's not like there's been any secret how much you've enjoyed the Convor. So
yeah, true.
That one I wouldn't have been too surprised about.
And it has a wristband on it that you can actually, like I said, you can wear it on your wrist. So I had my X-Wing costume on that day, and I was wearing it on my wrist most of the day because, of course, that was the day of the Clone Wars panel too. So it was perfect. I could wear it there. So that was awesome. So it's wearable plushie. So it's perfect for that. So Wizard, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So a couple other things too before we get into some cosplay. There were a couple of other booths there. One was our Incas and Flex that we've mentioned before, and the Incas have the features female shoes as well as the droid shoes that are now on sale, the slip-ons, and of course all the Flex watches that were there. And again, we've covered these on past That's So Wizard, so there's really not anything new that came out of Incas or Flex, and they are sister companies. So you can check those out at their respective websites. And then another one that I've kind of had my eye on is called Heroes and Villains. And I went past the store at Celebration a couple of times, and I kind of browsed through their things. I didn't end up getting anything. But what's really neat about this particular brand is that they have 4 different Star Wars mini collections as part of their line. And they have one called Storyboard, another one called Rebel Scum, and then X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and then the Endor collection. And each one of those within that has things like t-shirts and jackets and hats and basically, you name it, for any sorts of kind of casual, everyday sort of sportswear sorts of things. And there's some really neat jackets that they have that are sort of a callback, almost reminds me of the Pink Ladies from Grease, if you remember those. So those type of like satin jackets kind of thing. That's one of the things that caught my eye. But did you get a chance to get over to that booth?
But I saw the stuff around the floor. Now that you're mentioning it, and I'm looking at this stuff online, it's like, oh, that's where that came from. It's the Rebel Scum stuff is just fantastic, and the and again, the aforementioned Coffee with Kenobi crew was wearing some of the hats from over there. So now I understand where all this stuff came from. This is really cool. Nice find.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I've had my eye on this one for a while. They have pins, little, lapel pins and patch sets, and of course, we were talking about the dad hats. So they have the dad hats.
And I got to tell you, I remember the last time we did That's a Wizard, I was kind of objecting to the notion of the dad hat and the the dad cut shorts and all that type of thing. But those hats were actually pretty decent. It's not a style that works well on my head because I have an odd-shaped skull. But I did see a lot of people that were wearing them, and they actually looked fairly stylish when they did.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a style that's coming back too. So love it or hate it, it's going to be around for a little while. I actually picked up my own little dad hat from one of the sellers on the floor, but it wasn't anything part of a collection. It was, of course, and it was funny because I told Colby one, I said, basically the show floor, a lot of it is like going to a huge garage sale. There's just so many different sellers, but I picked up a Phantom Menace hat that was an original release that had Padme Amidala on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to have this for, the 20th anniversary panel. So I picked that one up for $5 that I thought was a really, really great find. But getting back to Heroes and Villains, sorry. You'll have to check them out because they really do have it's very weathered kinds of things for the most part. And it just kind of gives you that almost like a Harley Davidson vibe, I guess, in a lot of ways. But yeah, they've got some really, really neat stuff. And then Stance Socks, too, was another one that was a big hit, I know, on the show floor. And Colby one almost got a couple pairs of socks from them. And you have a bunch of Stance socks, correct?
All my Star Wars socks are
right.
Stance.
That's what I thought.
And I actually picked up some from the show as well.
Nice. Which ones did you get?
I got... Okay, so let me tell you the experience of they were at the Stance booth. I wanted to buy all of it. They had a couple different collections. They were on the pricey side, but they were like $200, $220, something like that. But they came with like a dozen pairs of socks. But I couldn't justify coming home with that many socks. I have quite a few Star Wars socks. And if you did, there was a giveaway that came with that. But then they also had the Macquarie socks. One was blue, the other one was pink, and it was the Vader and Luke from that classic Macquarie print. And if you bought that one, you also got the Macquarie print of the that original concept Vader fighting with Luke. I also didn't go for that simply because I couldn't make those colors work with my wardrobe. But they did have, it was a new design for Darth Vader. I have actually a couple different socks that have Vader on them, but this was a gray sock that had a black Vader print. And I just really like the way that looked. It's Vader's almost the full length of the sock, and it's him in profile as kind of as opposed to, they have a series where it's kind of like the characters wrapped around the sock. That's not what this was. It's hard to explain. But then there was another one with Chewbacca holding a porg, and everyone knows my feelings about porgs. But
yes.
But I still got that sock anyway. I don't know. I just like the way that Chewbacca looked on it. And it matched I had the same style sock with C-3PO on it at home. And so I just added those two pairs. I mean, they're $20. It's a $20 pair of socks. And so I didn't want to go overboard buying those when there's so many other things to buy on the floor. But I also just couldn't resist buying some more Stance Star Wars socks while I was there at Celebration. I mean, I'll always think of that experience being at Celebration when I put those socks on. So
true.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's part of it right there. And the thing about Stance, though, is that they really do have very well-made socks. I mean, if you're going to wear, socks, you want them to be comfortable, you want them to be thick. They've got a really nice heel carriage on them in terms of, the support for the heel and that type of thing. So, I mean, they really are some nice socks. And I know that they have online, if you order, I believe, more than $50, they have free shipping. So if you really like them, and it's one of those things where, I really appreciated them more once I got to see them in person, because I'm a big texture person, and my husband makes fun of me all the time because he's like, you have to touch everything when we go into the store, don't you? I'm like, yeah, because I want to know what it feels like, So, but yeah, there's all kinds of different ones, and they have a kids collection now too, which I actually mistook for a women's collection. But did you see those? They're more of a neon. They have a Stormtrooper, a Chewbacca, an R2-D2, and a Darth Vader. And I almost got the Darth Vader because they were purple. and once again, purple.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I asked the gentleman that was there too, and I said, are you guys going to come out with anything with Jar Jar on it? Because 20th anniversary. And I think that the person that was working it, he acted like he was one of the art directors for Stance, because he said no, because the way he said it, he said, I haven't done that yet. He didn't say we, he said I. So, and we were in such a hurry that I didn't get a chance to really talk to him, and he was busy talking to other people about the designs and, basically trying to make sales and that type of thing. So, so it kind of makes me wonder, maybe I put a little bug in his ear.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And while you're discussing that, I was looking at the Stance website, and they have a box set called The Force 3, and the Chewbacca and Darth Vader were from that set. I just was able to buy the socks individually that I was talking about, and the C-3PO ones I have are actually part of that series as well. But great, I wore the C-3PO socks today, and they were extremely comfortable, and they just happen to match my outfit. So what can I say? But yeah, I highly recommend them. They're fun socks to have. If you're wearing a long pair of pants, like most people can't even tell what it is a lot of the time, so you can get away with it in practically any environment. But I don't know. This is a relatively new collection of mine over the past year, and I just keep adding to it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, and Stance now also has men's underwear. They have boxer briefs now as well. So this is a relatively new addition to their collection. Make a fine addition to my collection.
I can vouch
there's
for those.
There's 4 different designs on that. So they have a Bespin Tower, the Detention Hall, the Vader and R2, and the Hoth. So yeah, so there's actually quite a lot of different things. So you wore your Stance socks with your Pozu shoes today. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep, sure did.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had
way to go.
my shoes telling my socks never to tell them the odds. So
nice. I love it. So you had a little bit of everyday cosplay going on there. So let's talk a little bit about the cosplay that we saw at Celebration. So what were some of your favorite things? We did a little cosplay how-to and some tips and tricks on the last That's So Wizard.
Well, let me start with the complimenting you and your son on the cosplay. You had that game going all weekend and you did very well. I am not much of a cosplayer myself, but I had the mustard brown Han Solo The Force Awakens jacket that I tried to wear during the convention. Thursday, that was fine on the Bounty Hunter Day because it wasn't too crowded and, I could get away with that. However, Friday morning after the episode 9 panel, I had to take it back to the hotel room. It was just too warm to wear in there. So that was the extent of my attempt to cosplay at all. And, it was fun, but I had plenty of other Star Wars t-shirts and my socks and everything else. So that was good enough for me. But, there was a lot of common costumes. Of course, the 501st was around. So, they always blow it out of the water. There was a lot of great Ahsokas and Sabines this year. And every time I thought I saw the greatest one on the floor, I found another one. And there was actually quite a few good Heras as well. It seemed like at least to me, that the animated characters were very, very, very well represented this year. And I know I sent you a picture of it, but I saw a trio of cosplayers as it was Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Satine, and Padme that were wandering around. And they actually made it onto the Star Wars show live feed that was going on. And I think they may actually be in the wrap-up video they did as well. But it seemed like I saw them in a lot of different places. And that was one of my favorites. How about you?
Well, some of mine were definitely anything having to do with the Asajj Ventress. And there was quite a few. There was one in particular. I have to give a shout out to her because Colby One, when he dressed as his Jedi on Friday, we got some pictures with her and she shaved her head. And I talked to her about it and I said, did you really shave your head for this? That's dedication. And she said, well, yeah, but I also did it because I was raising money for cancer awareness group that I'm part of. And she said, so it was a real win-win for me. So of course, cancer awareness is very near and dear to my heart as well. So it was just a real pleasure to meet her. And then we also met a gentleman from Oregon who was dressed as old Obi-Wan Kenobi that my son got a chance to take his picture with. And I love all the mashups that people come up with. I mean, Colby and I were just like left and right, just like, oh my gosh, how did they come up with this stuff? Hilarious and just creative as all get out and just insanely fun. But yeah, we had a lot of fun dressing up too. It was great. And, as much fun as it was to do the Leia tutu, and which I absolutely loved wearing. It was one of those things where, as I talked about in my cosplay tips and tricks, that at first I was like, I don't know, I'm 48 years old. I don't know if I can pull this whole thing off, but boy, was that fun to wear. And I got so many great compliments. And I also have to give a shout out to Cat Cos. It's a cosplay wig company, and I was able to get that Leia wig through Amazon.com. And I'll have to put the link in our show notes as well for that one. And the way that she packaged it was great. And she even put together a little cosplay emergency kit. And it was a Ziploc bag with some safety pins and some rubber bands and some bobby pins. And so it was just really great. And she packaged it up really, really well. So, but our X-Wing costumes were a lot of fun. Colby said, I actually almost like those even better because we put like makeup dirt on his face. And he goes, I feel really bad, Mom. Bad,
The Asajj cosplay, there was one that I saw that was kind of a Dark Disciple Asajj Ventress. She had her hair grown out kind of short and wavy to the side, which we'd seen as well. That was an awfully good one. One of the things that impressed me about cosplay this year was a lot of cross-gender cosplay that was going on. Now, in the past, you'll see some of the ironic men that were dressing up as, say, Huttslayer Leia, mainly for the shock value of it. That being said, two that I saw this year that I was really actually very impressed by, and I don't think they were going for shock value, and I know they couldn't have been because they put such care into this, was men dressed up as Enfys Nest and men dressed up as Rey, or not Rey, Jyn Erso. They had very good costumes that clearly were paying tribute to those characters, but were appropriate as well. I mean, you can dress up as anything you want, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm excusing it, because I'm not. I was very encouraged by it, and they did an absolutely fantastic job both times. There was, like I said, there were several men dressed up as Enfys Nest, and at least 3 that I saw that were doing Jyn Erso, and they just did a great job with those.
I agree. I totally agree. And I also saw some gals that were dressed up as Cassian Andor.
I saw those too.
And then gals that were dressed up as Luke. So I just think it's so great. It's so wonderful. And that's one of the things about Celebration that I love so much, is the fact that everyone embraces their fandom in such a great way. And no one judges anybody. You know what I mean? It's so incredibly welcoming and warm, and everyone appreciates everything that you do. And and all of the work, and everyone understands how much work goes into stuff like that. So, even the little things. And it's just great to get compliments from people and to give compliments to people. And, it's awesome when you get to take your pictures with them. And it's one big happy family. It really is. And it's just a great feeling.
You know what? Now that we've talked about it for a bit, I'd be remiss if I actually did not mention my favorite cosplay. It was a Gamorrean guard. I don't know, maybe because I don't think I've ever seen one before, but one of the afternoons, and I can't remember which one, it was Saturday or Sunday, but I ran into a guy who had just an absolutely stellar Gamorrean guard costume, and I don't know why it captivated me so much, but it just did. And I didn't actually stop and get my picture taken with a whole lot of cosplayers, but I made sure I stopped and got my picture taken with that one. And but cosplay, it was nice because in Orlando, there was a lot of Reys. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of Reys in Chicago as well, but in Orlando, Rey was like an overwhelming favorite, and it was kind of and there's plenty of Han Solos, but it was just kind of neat with a few more movies that have been out since Celebration Orlando to just have a new batch of costumes that kind of kept the cosplay fresh overall. So, anyways, hats off to all the cosplayers. It was fun watching all of them. And then you can go to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and if you scroll back far enough, you'll find this one as well. It was one of our most popular tweets, at least when I shared it from the past couple months. But on that Thursday, I ran into, you were talking about the mashups, but the Muppet mashups, Stormtrooper mashups. Mm-hmm. And I got my picture taken with a group of them because they had a handler that was managing them, and she was saying, hey, line up and you can get your picture taken with these guys. So I did. And I had people that were tweeting at me, it's like, hey, do you have any other angles? Because I want to see Animal as a Stormtrooper and things like that. So it's like, actually, I do. Here you go. So, but they were fun. And I think they were also at Orlando, but that was a popular one to get your picture with.
I think I even saw them all the way back at Anaheim, if I'm not mistaken, because I have a picture of them as well. So it must be something, and maybe they're adding to their line of Muppets with every con that they go to. But there was also, that's a really cool one. Phasma, she looked almost exactly like Gwendolyn Christie, and she had her helmet off. So I'm sure you saw her. So there was that one, and then there was some really great Emperors too. So I didn't really see a whole lot of Resistance this time. There was a few, but not as many as I would have anticipated. Like I did see a Tora, and I'm trying to think if there was any others, because I was thinking about doing Sonara, quite honestly.
I did see a Sonara cosplayer.
Did you? Okay,
yeah, and she was quite good. And she went with a makeup scheme that reflected the colors of the animation. I think she worked really hard to kind of capture that animated look as opposed to making the character look real life. And it was very well done. I was very impressed.
That's awesome. So yeah, definitely hats off to all the cosplayers. And I also have to give a shout out once again to Terry B from the Tutu Factory on Etsy. We had been communicating back and forth, and she was the one that created and sewed the Leia tutu outfit that I wore at Friday at Celebration. And Colby Wan and I got a bunch of pictures together, different props and things like that. And so I had sent them to her, and she was really appreciative of the pictures, but she said she'd never listened to any podcasts before. So I sent her a link, since we talked about her on the last That's So Wizard as well. And so I thought I'd share her response to the Scoundrels and to me. And she says, "Hi, Jay, just listened to your podcast. How cool. I've actually never listened to one before, and it was so interesting. And thank you so much for the shout out and the Wizard Award. That's just so great. I really found the whole podcast to be really well done. Your voice is really engaging and pleasant to listen to, and it really had a nice flow about it. It was as if you were sitting right here with me, and we're just chatting over coffee. I really thought it was great. I'm so happy you enjoyed wearing your costume, and also that you had such a great time with your son. Thanks again for everything." So Terry, thank you, because it was one of the best parts of Celebration for me, was being able to dress up with Colby Wan and just sharing all of that with him. So it really made for a great, memorable weekend. So appreciate the email back, and we have a new listener. So welcome to the Scoundrels, Terry.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear she enjoyed the show. But all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up then for this edition of That's So Wizards. But before we go, you got anything else going on?
Just right here. And, of course, you can catch us on all of the latest episodes of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. And we'll be coming out with another one very shortly, I'm sure. And you can always catch my archive blogs over at Coffee with Kenobi and my Core Worlds Couture fashion review blogs as well. How about you?
Well, before we get to me, I just want to cover Darth Taxus. You can find him over on the Geek Supreme each week with Scott Murray, Jeff McGee, and Regina Davis with their Around the Horn style geek topic discussion show. And as for myself, you can find my comic reviews on RetroZap.com. And I am way behind after traveling for 2.5 weeks.
Wonder why.
Yeah, so I got 6 to catch up on, but they'll get there. And each month I'm talking Star Wars comics with Joel J. Shepard on Jedi Journals. My wife Beth and I host a Star Trek podcast currently devoted to Discovery called Warp Trails. Also behind with the travel, but we've got an episode that just came out, and we should have our season finale review by the end of this week. You can find that exclusively on the RetroZap podcast feed. If you want to find us on social media, we are at SQPod on Twitter and Instagram, and on Facebook at facebook.com/SQPod. And between Jay and myself, we've got all kinds of photo coverage from Celebration there. So go check it out. It was great because the Instagram stuff also ended up on Twitter. So there's a really, really great collection. And that's usually what I could get the best reception on Facebook. What didn't always cooperate on the floor of Celebration. So I would start with Twitter and scroll back to that, and you can find a lot of great pictures and links to pictures to Instagram. So check that out. And then you can follow Darth Taxus on Twitter at Darth Taxus. Jay is at Joyce Krebs, and I am at BJKER2. Speaking of RetroZap, we are a proud part of the RetroZap.com podcast network. The network currently features more than a dozen shows covering everything from retro gaming, movies, collecting, and a whole ton of Star Wars. You can subscribe to the network feed and you get everything in one place. We'd love a review wherever you listen to your podcast. And please tell your friends, especially the ones that like Star Wars, about our show. Help them subscribe if they don't know how, because not everyone does. And we just found out from Terry that a lot of them don't even know what a good Star Wars podcast is to listen to. So we'd appreciate your recommendation. We really do appreciate that. That's going to do it for this Scoundrel Special Edition. We'll talk to you all soon with another episode of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. Until then, Scoundrel Nation, may the Force be with you.